Replacing the combustion blower on a Harman Accentra Pellet Insert made between 2003 and 2012. This will exclude all 52i models. The same parts are also used on the Harman P35i insert made between 2010 and 2019. The part numbers are 3-21-08639 for the blower and 3-21-00661 for the 4 3/4 inch impeller. We also have aftermarket parts available at our website at www.pelletstovepartsforless.com. This is your blower. It's going to be mounted on the back of the stove. You'll have to pull the stove out to get to it. There are some wing nuts right here, here, and one up here. And those will have to be turned out in order to free the motor. It's advised to use some penetrating oil around the threads before we start to turn them out. Also, the hub of the motor right here sometimes can get rusted if it hasn't been taken out in a while. And this edge right here is where you would squirt a little bit of penetrating oil if you need to free that from the machine. So using our wrench, just a crescent wrench, we're going to get that over the wing nuts, and we're going to see if we can just give them a little bit of a turn so that we can thread them out by hand. Just a little turn like that, and now it's loose. Also to notice, right here, you can use a screwdriver and a hammer to whack that if it won't come free. And there we go. And this one pops right out because I've taken it out a few times. Now we're going to use some penetrating oil to squirt around the set screw on the motor. This is going to allow us to be able to take the impeller off because we're going to have to reuse the hub that's between the impeller and the motor. We're using a 1/8 Allen key, and we're getting that on there and then break it free. Perfect. And then we're probably going to have to turn it a little bit using the other end, and now it should come right off. Perfect. Alright, so this is the penetrating oil that I use. Aerocor oil. It's the best. Alright, so using a 9mm ratchet or 11/32, we're going to remove the 3 nuts that hold the motor to the hub. Now each of these nuts is on top of a threaded post, and the threaded posts come through the bottom, and I'm pulling those out and I'm setting them aside because we're going to reuse those. We have to use the threaded post again, so don't lose them. And with all that, we can pull the 2 pieces apart. Just like that. Okay, so this is your hub, and it mounts over here onto the stove. And you'll notice that on the top right here it says XXV, and then over here it says Accentra top, and the other one's for the P35i. The tab is going to be related to the stove that you're mounting it in, and it's not a perfect triangle from one to the other, so this hub only fits in a certain way. So you have to make sure that when you mount your motor, the orientation is right. Alright, and so these are the parts that we're going to reuse. This impeller right here is a 4 3/4, and it's not a 5, and it's 4 3/4, and it's going to have to fit inside the hole right over here. If you get a 5-inch, it's not going to work, so you have to make sure it's the 4 3/4. So we're going to take our hub and we're going to bring that down and put this on the motor. We're going to check for our orientation, making sure that the top is for the Accentra, and then when the motor is attached to the hub, we're going to make sure that our leads are pointing up in the air, just like that. So that's going to be the orientation of how the motor is put back onto the hub. Those need to be on the upside. So we got our motor just like that, and we're going to take our threaded posts and we're going to bring them in through the bottom and make sure that we have all of our metal spacers into the grommets. So let's put our spacer onto the grommet, just like so. And then we're going to grab our threaded post and we're going to slide it up through the bottom, just like so. And then we're going to grab one of our nuts and we're going to put that on there and just hand tighten it. And we're going to do this for all 3 of the motor mounts. And then we'll go back and we'll tighten them all up. So if we spin that on there just like that, now it's fastened. Alright, so now we have them all on there. We're going to use our 9mm or 11/32 socket to tighten them down. And we're not going to over tighten them. We're just going to bring them down to the snug and then maybe a 1/4 of a turn more. Just like so. Perfect. And so you see this reveal edge right here? We want to make sure that all of our threaded posts are flush and that the motor spins freely, which it does. And then we're going to grab our impeller. We're going to line up the set screw onto the flat side of the shaft, just like so. And we'll drop that down. Make sure that that's flat, and we're going to bring this back up. Now it doesn't mount all the way to the top just like that. The ideal spot to mount this is going to be about 1/4 of an inch from the top, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch from the top, somewhere right around in there. And then using our 1/8 Allen key, we're just going to very simply snug that up, and then we'll use the other side of the Allen key to torque it down. And while we're doing this, make sure that you don't bend any of the blades of the impeller. Perfect. And so now we can just spin that, and none of the paddles are bent. And then we'll find our orientation on the motor, which is going to be the Accentra top and the leads pointing up. And then we're going to put that back into the unit. And also, see that edge right here? That edge needs to seat right up against this edge. There's no gasket involved. So we're just going to put that on there, make sure that it's not cocked off to one side, and then simply turn it with one little click into position. Right there, and now turn it. There it is. And it should seat right up nice and tight. And then we're going to tighten up our wing nuts by hand. Just like so. And then the third one. And then using our wrench, we're going to come back and just put 1/4 of a turn tighten right on them, just like that. And then we'll do the top one. And this one over here on the side is sometimes a little bit hard to get a wrench on. You'll be able to turn it just a little bit, but then you'll hit the hopper. So then you have to come in from the side and then put a little bit more force on it, just like so. There, so now that's in. We're going to grab our wires. Now, if this was an OEM motor that we had changed out, the wires would have been on a pigtail mounted across this rail right here, and everything would have been attached. And we'd have to cut it, and we'd have to put new disconnects on the end. So it's going to wrap around just like that. The disconnects on here, the purple ones, I've changed these once before from the OEM, so they're already mounted on there. We're going to take our green wire, and we're going to make sure that we put it on the spade of the motor so it's grounded. That's right there on the coil. And then we're going to grab our white one, and this one's actually a little bit loose on there. And in this video I actually tightened it, but I didn't include that. So then over here on this end, we have the black wire, and that's going to go to the red wire. And then we have the green wire, which is going to go here on the air intake. But then we got the white wire. And over here, we have a big mess of white wires. If we look right here, you'll see that Harman uses a dedicated home run for all of its commons back to the control board, of which there's going to be 4 of them right here. And actually, this one right here, this is the brown wire. The brown wire is for the power in. That's going to go on this one right here. The first white wire in this selection right here is going to go on this pin, and that's going to be the common wire in from the power off the outlet that the stove's powered by. So that's going to leave us 3 wires, 1, 2, and 3 right here that the combustion motor could actually plug into. Over here, these are our lead wires that go to the different components. The black is the auger motor, the red is the exhaust blower or the combustion blower, the blue is going to be the distribution blower, and the yellow is going to be the igniter. Now the igniter and the auger motor are going to be on the same common, which is going to be the very first one right here. And that first one comes up and it goes around and it comes down over here and it comes up and it goes right into here onto the pressure switch. The pressure switch needs to close, and then it will close these two common wires which are bussed together on this disconnect. One will go to the igniter, the other is going to go to the auger motor. So it's going to leave us one of these two, 1, 2. And then if we look over here, there are going to be 1 and 2 components that are left. So it's going to be the first one, the one that lines up in the position of the red combustion blower. So you're going to want to find the second white wire up on the control board. You're going to want to follow it all the way back, and it's going to snake around this way and it's going to come out this way. Find the end of it, and then you're going to plug the combustion blower into that wire. If you plug it into the wrong one, the control for turning it on and off is going to be wrong, and it's going to be for the distribution blower. And the distribution blower doesn't come on until we get temperature, so when you start the stove up, nothing's really going to work because the combustion blower is not going to come on. So you have to make sure that we have the correct white wire connected to the combustion blower, and that's how you're going to figure that out.